And we are live. This is a completely new format for me and also for my guest today, Ryan. Welcome to our session, sir.
Let's go. Pumped to be here.
So, brother, just to begin with, uh, let's start by introducing you to the audience.
Okay. My name is Ryan. I am a staffing professional in the multifamily industry, and we find maintenance techs, leasing agents, and pretty much all aspects of staffing for property management.
Got it. How long you been doing staffing and recruiting?
Well, I mean, pretty much probably like 15 years or so, kind of on and off, maybe a little bit longer. It's my family company, so I've been in it since I can remember, and I've been taking it probably really seriously now for the last 7 years, but 15 years on and off, kind of just helping my mom with the with the staffing and recruiting part of it.
How long ago did you step into the CEO role?
That's fairly new, like probably last year sometime, and it was more of a it's a tight, like I was telling you before in some of our other calls, it's kind of like a title thing, and I've almost wanted to just not drop the title, but just kind of stay away from like saying I'm the CEO, because I don't know, I just, to me it's just like I said, it's just a title, so it doesn't really mean much to me other than I'm responsible, I'm the face of the company, but but that, yeah, I stepped into that role probably about a year ago.
Yeah, for those watching today, if you want to drop some comments in a comment box, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Maybe you have questions for Ryan, for me. Maybe you want for us to touch on a couple of things during the session that weren't really planned for. Ryan and I are both up for whatever comes. Right, we're we want to create like the most natural organic experience right here, right, with a little prep, but with we're leaving a lot up to whatever comes at us. We're ready to roll. So tell me a little bit of why did you want to do this on live with a live audience?
Just because that's kind of my weakness right now is being in front of people and speaking and communicating, and I guess articulating what I'm trying to say in front of actual people and like a live audience. And that's something I want to overcome. I want to overcome that fear so I can get out there and actually, do it confidently.
What, like, I know that it's very challenging when you try to speak in front of an audience. And look, from experience, I've done over 300 podcasts, right? And this is not necessary in front of a live audience. Sometimes it is, right? It's just like we do now. We could call that live too. But also have spoken at like various industry conferences with a live audience, like in person, right? And I'll say it only gets a little bit easier in time, but it's never like that. I guess that nervousness, it never disappears.
Right.
It only gets a little easier with time. What are the things that what are the feelings that you have when you get ready to like speak in front of a live audience, other than more than one or two people?
I don't. I get super nervous. It's hard to explain the inner feeling, but that's most of it. Is just I have this really kind of like vibrating feeling inside of me, and I think it's because I'm starting to judge myself before I even start doing anything. So before I even speak, I'm already judging what I think I'm going to say and what the people are going to react. How are they going to be judging? Are they, it's like I said, just constant judging myself before I actually start.
Yeah, I think this, judging and overthinking, because that's what you're doing. Like, you're really overthinking.
Right.
You're thinking too much of what that's gonna be like, and what are the people going to be thinking of you.
Am I saying the right things? Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. One thing I want you to, well, a couple of things that I want you to think of, right? As far as framing, right? the way you frame an event like this, or even a in-person event, don't think that you're speaking in front of 20 people or 20,000 people or 100 people. Consider that you're speaking with one person, just like you are looking at me right now through the screen, and it's just a conversation with you and I, right? There's no one else around. There's no one watching now on like LinkedIn, YouTube, or the other channels that we're broadcasting on, right? So imagine, try to train your mind to think, okay, this is just me and Adrian talking, right? The same thing that goes when you're in front of a live audience, like in person, is I will suggest is the same way, right? Look at the entire crowd and establish eye contact with one person and one person only. And when you try to, relate wherever you're trying to relate, think that you're speaking to that person directly. Typically, the way I pick the person is that I'm looking throughout the room, right? And I'm looking at the person that seems like from their facial expression who shows the most interest, like is the more focus on like me and what I'm doing on a stage. And I'm picking that person and I keep looking at them, right? Sometimes I even like dialogue with them. And I say, hey, sir, or like, ma'am, right there. What do you think about that? So I try to establish a dialogue beyond just like the eye contact. And that tends to be helpful because it gets you like locked in to that person. And at that point, like everybody else, not necessarily disappearing, but it becomes less overwhelming, right? When you're thinking about, there's also like 100 other people in a room, they're looking at me, I can make a mistake, right?
Yeah, I get it. You feel like you're that person, since they seem focused, like you're actually engaging with them, and you can kind of just focus on that and actually kind of in your mind have a conversation with just them and block everybody else out.
100%. And again, everything that I'm just sharing with you right now, like it's way easier said than done, right? So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to train yourself to constantly like tell this to yourself until you believe in it, right? Basically, drink the Kool-Aid, right? And you will get to that point, but it's gonna take you exercises, repeating the exercise over and over again, and it'll eventually get you there. But it's going to be a process, right? Now, before we start kind of like trying to fix things, right, let's talk about what's working for you, right? And let's talk about, what do people consistently come to you for? What do you feel like you're known for and you get the most like people reaching out to you for?
That cut out a little bit when we were talking right there, but I mean, people. I'm the maintenance recruiter. So when the thing I handle the most is people coming to me looking for a maintenance technician, supervisors, anything in the maintenance side of it. That's what my specialty is.
When it comes to particular expertise, Ryan, what would you say is like your main expertise in? When we're talking about recruiting, right? Recruiting is like a very wide like term, and there's a lot to recruiting, right? But what would you say is kind of like your forte, or like three things, like three main things that you think that you're mastering, you're feeling very confident in delivering when it comes to recruitment?
I feel like I'm a motivator. Like I can get these guys excited about the job, and that's my biggest strength. Other than that, just talking to them like human beings, not throwing like crazy words out at them and things they can't understand. So just being easy to communicate with, and like I said, just a motivator and inspiring people.
So you're very easy to communicate with and like relate to them, right?
Yes.
What does that look like on a client side, right? When you're these are the temps, I'm assuming that you're working with, right? Your personnel that you're placing. When it comes to your relationship with with the management companies, property managers, regionals, and higher than that, how could you like take that strength of yours and like turn it around, replicate it in that relationship with your with operators?
Yeah, it's tough because with them, you're almost like trying to you're trying to please them. You want to make them happy with putting the right people on their site. And in staffing, it is tough to. I mean, the turnover is already constant in multifamily and just in any industry really. But when you're in the staffing part, you're dealing with so many different management companies, so many different personalities. I mean, the turnover is really it's much higher. So I'm trying to please them, and sometimes it's hard to have those tough conversations. So I don't know. Like I've tried before to kind of be real with them and talk to them and just like kind of how I talk to temps. But some people are hard. Some people are hard to convince. Like that there's issues outside of maybe it's the temp. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And there's a few things I want to unpack here. You're saying that some people are very tough to please, right? Am I
right.
reading this
It's
right?
not. It makes it harder. It makes it harder to talk to somebody when they're kind of already frustrated and they need somebody right away. They don't really have time to kind of like go over things. They need somebody now. It needs to work out, and if that doesn't work, there's just a lot on their plate. So like rightfully so, they're frustrated, but it makes it tough sometimes to have like real conversations with them.
Yeah. What would you see as being helpful? Like, what are some things that you could bring into your toolbox, into your arsenal to like improve that type of situation in those type of relationships that you could feel the tension, right? You could feel that we don't have time for anything else. Like we're under so much pressure and we need this done. We need it done now, and you better get it done for us.
Yeah, I try to reassure them that this is a process. We're working on it constantly. We have we have backup people ready to go if they don't work. I just try to open up a line of communication really, and I let them know I'm here for them. If it doesn't work out, call me. I'm always available for my people, and that's kind of what I try to let them know. So I would think when you have an open line of communication that it helps it helps kind of ease their frustration a little bit.
So one of the strengths that you have right there is like making yourself available, being
Yeah.
available all the time, quickly respond. Are you? How would you say? How easy would you say that you're to work with?
I think I'm pretty easy. Like my job is to help people and find and do what they want. My job is to kind of please the client. So like I'll do whatever it takes to do that. I ask them specific questions. I keep everything confidential. So it's like really whatever they want, I'm going to do it for them. And like I said, I'm available. I keep my phone available on at all times. So like I tell everybody I talk to, you can call me at any time. It doesn't matter what time of night it is, how early in the morning. I'm always available for you.
So you're saying that people mainly come to you for like maintenance, for
For me,
maintenance, right?
yeah, in the staffing industry, yeah, for
Yeah,
maintenance people.
in multifamily. What are some areas that you think that maybe you would like to cover better when it comes to like delivering maintenance personnel, whether that's like the labor itself or whether that's the way like you deliver the service to the customer. What are some opportunities right there? I mean, I'm putting this into a context a little bit, right? Think about that. Uh, Phoenix, Phoenix Scottsdale is like a huge market, and
Yeah,
then probably how many people, how many maintenance temps you place a week in average?
like 10 to it goes like 5 to 20.
5 to 20. Okay. Do you think that you could place 200 if you had 200 available?
I mean, yeah, if I had to, for sure. Like I kind of go based on the workload. So like if I have, I mean, I always have guys ready to go, I guess I should say. So like if I had 5 to 20 is what I average. Now, if I had, and we put this in our advertisements is like emergency fill-ins. We have people ready to go. So I feel like I do have like a strong bench of maintenance technicians ready to go. So, I mean, I, I would try my absolute best if I had 200 to fill 200 a week.
Yeah, so there's an incredible market right there, right? You could 10x your market share. theoretically, because there's such a huge need for for temps, for labor basically. And since
Mhm.
people can hire on their own on a a full-time basis, that's where you're coming into place, right? um what makes you the most nervous? Like what type of like speech or delivery makes you the most nervous? Like when we get to like, if you were to have a script, right? And there's different things that you have written for yourself on the script.
Mhm.
What are like the top things that make you like very scared to deliver or like very nervous to deliver?
With a script, it's easy. I'm reading the script. I can say, I can read a script pretty well, and I'll say it out there. But I think if we're talking about that specifically, what it would be like a follow up, like especially if you don't know something, or maybe you don't have I don't have the answer for them. Like for the follow up question is like, oh, okay, it's a great question. How do I answer that? And like not being able to clearly articulate it to them.
So let's stay on this a little bit, right? You said that it's not an issue. You could read the script and just deliver that way, and
Yeah.
then maybe the issue comes out of the follow up question.
Mhm.
So, why do you think that the follow up question could be or it is a challenge for you?
I think I'm just looking for the right thing to say all the time, and it makes me and I kind of panic. And that was one of my questions for you was how do I kind of in real like if I'm spiraling, like I don't have I can't find the thing to say. How do I get out of that and just slow down? Maybe I'm answering it myself right now, but just slow down, breathe, and think and just deliver.
Well, the first thing that most speakers say, to win yourself a few seconds is like, that was a great question, right?
Mhm.
So when you say that, you give yourself a few seconds to try to regroup. If you don't feel like you have regrouped like enough, don't feel that you are obligated to provide an answer, period. You could like literally just say, I don't really know the answer to that. That's a great question, but I like to take a moment to like take a note here in my phone or write it down, or like I make a mental note, because you're not always in a position to write stuff down, but I'm going to make myself a mental note and get back to you on that, right? So never be afraid to say I don't know.
Yeah.
I learn. So I was this person years ago, right? Years ago, I just wanted to be right all the time. Like all the time, I was obsessed with being right. And if someone had like challenged me, not necessarily in a negative way, but having to say something different that wasn't fitting my narrative, I was trying to fight that, to argue that all the time. And it took me a very long time to understand that like there's little value in that. I was the person that kind of like acted like I had the entire truth. Like it's either like you agree with my truth, or then like you're stupid or something. Or
Mhm.
if you had a different opinion, it made me look stupid, right?
Yeah.
And it took me a very long time. It took me several years. It was an entire journey for me until I realized, you know what? This is not where the value is. Like the more you learn, the more you know what you don't know, how much you don't know. And it's like an infinity of things you don't. What we actually know, it's very, very little. It's a tiny, tiny, tiny bit on any type of like you could be an expert. We fail, even an expert will tell you, if they're honest with you, they will tell you that they fail way more times than most people even try, right?
Yeah.
Always have this in the back of the mind. The best people in the world have failed more times than any others have even tried. I met investors, for example. I have close friends. One of them, was very sincere with me in a conversation, saying, "Look, I've lost way more money than most people will make in their lifetime. You're talking about tens of millions of dollars, and those are painful but incredibly good lessons, right? So when we're talking about a thought or not being able to give an answer in a big scale of things is really nothing. It's absolutely nothing, right? So always try to keep that in the back of your mind. It's always okay to say I don't know, and you could say I don't know a lot of times. Like don't
So
ever.
that was my next like thing. Is like, how many times can you say, "Hey, I don't know," before it gets like, okay, what do you know? You know what I mean? So
I ideally not too many times.
right.
Here's how you could fix that. Uh, Build a script around the things you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So don't try to build a script that you read from that actually has on it things that are not in your area of expertise, right? So focus on what you know. Focus on what you know, not just from like necessary learning along the way, but try to build your script around your expertise. When you say your expertise, it doesn't have to be like, hey, I could do a master class in whatever, right? When it comes to recruitment, this could be something as simple as what do I do that works well, right? I'm the easygoing person. I'm always available. Like build a script, build a speech around that. Those are a few examples. Of course, context matters, right? What is going to be this? What is the speech going to be about? So try to own the narrative. When you own the narrative, when you build a narrative around things there are not going to be so many moments of like, let me get back to you. Like, I don't have the answer for it, right? So try to stay in an area. I hate to use the word safe, really, because I don't believe in safe spaces. I believe that we grow when we're out of our comfort zone. Like I never done this, publicly, like on a with a live audience, streamed on
Yeah.
like channels. I've done this privately many times with you and others, but
Mm-hmm.
then I have the willingness to put myself out there and for people to judge and say like, this guy sucks. What is he talking about, right? Like I wouldn't pay him,
Yeah.
for nothing to do like a session with me, but I'm willing to put myself in that position for people to judge. I'm totally fine with them, because at the end of the day, right, I'm thinking that the one of the surest ways to fail is that for us to try to be all things for all people, right?
Right.
um, so this brings me to the next question. You said that, hey, you always have like certain clients that they're very demanding. They want things now. They want for everything to be perfect. I think at some point, there's also another thing to have in the back of your mind as a business owner, as a CEO, and as a business person. Not all the money, not all the business is good business. In other words,
Yeah.
if you get into a situation where you run into a client, and for those of you watching, if you're a business owner, we all have at least shorter or longer, depending for how long we've been in business. So people that are not the easiest or the most pleasant to do business with. And as the business grows and you say, okay, now we're large enough, you could actually select your clientele and say, you know what? I will now just focus, now that my business grew to a level where I'm comfortable, to actually select my clientele. And then the person that's like very demanding, like very hard, and sometimes it's a time suck, right? They're very micromanaging, like very taking a lot of my time. Maybe they don't have to be my client, or I will not prioritize them, right? I will put them on a back burner, work with people that are, kinder, that don't abuse my time. And for these others, just kind of like let it play the way it's gonna play out. Either like them like becoming a not customer, or for me to just saying, hey, look, I'm sorry, like we don't have availability now, right?
If it gets pretty, yeah, if it gets crazy, I kind of do that already because it isn't worth the energy, and the stress. So yeah, I kind of practice that a little bit right now.
That's I think very solid and quite an excellent like trait to have as a business owner, because when you're thinking about probably in a business that's being grown and your business has been around uh, for long enough, for a very long time, I think ideally is to look for the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle says that in an organization, 20% of the people deliver 80% of the results. Is a 20-80 rule, right? And for you as a business owner, when it comes to customers, to clients, it's that you have to look, and probably that already exists right in your business, is that 20% of your customers deliver 80% of your revenue.
Mhm.
Have you thought about that? Now that I'm putting things into context, can you think? You don't have to name names, right? That's unimportant here for the sake of the exercise. But are you thinking about some of those clients that
Oh
are
yeah,
like low maintenance? They just give you business. They're just happy to be a partner with you. That
yeah,
make most of your income.
yeah. Actually, and I actually went over a list with my mother the other day on those clients.
Okay. Uh, have you? This comes to mind. Have you build like a ideal ICP, ideal customer profile? What would that look like?
Oh man, just understanding what this is, the process behind all this. Yeah, I've thought about it. I don't think I've ever like sat down and built it, but I've definitely thought about what an ideal customer would be for sure.
Yeah. So here's a thought. This could be a very like the exercise that you did with your mom. I think it's incredible. All you had to do now is to like repeat it. Go to that exercise again and use your phone to record
Hmm.
yourself. Not necessary video, but voice, right? Put on
Yeah.
voice and record the conversation with your mom. What you need to do next, is to drop the audio file into a chat GPT type AI to
Hmm.
transcribe your conversation. And then once you get the transcript of that conversation, just ask the AI, hey, can you build a ICP based on the conversation that I had with here, based on this transcript, that actually it's me and my mom identifying like what makes our greatest customers, right? And once you identify that ICP, ChatGPT or whatever AI you use could build you like a questionnaire of questions that you could ask potential clients or even existing clients without like actually making it like it's an interrogatory. Just make it like a very colloquial conversation and just do like an exchange with them and try to get those questions answered. And that's going to help you rate, hey, what is this customer rating? Is it like, that top 20% that helps me with my, 80% of my income, very easygoing, very happy to like partner with me? Is it like in a top like 40%? Is it like bottom 20%? I'll say probably if it's bottom 20%, man, I'll look like how fast can I replace this
Hmm.
customer? How fast can I like um, not use the business that they give me and replace it with something that goes over that 20% up.
Yeah. Okay.
um, this reminds me of something else, and I had a conversation with a friend offline. They were in a different business. They weren't doing temp service. It was basically a service business, like dryer cleaning, things of that nature, annual inspections. And he asked me, how do I like how do I go about this process with like people that are hard to work with, people don't pay their bills, because this is another situation too. I'm sure that you're experiencing that in your business as well, aren't you?
What's that? Say that one again.
With clients that aren't like aren't paying bills on time, they're paying
Oh
late.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So what I suggested over there to my friend was, I said, build a blacklist.
Hmm.
So basically, create like a physical list, like an Excel spreadsheet, and type those numbers down and just say, this is the person, this is their job, like the job title, this is the property or the company they're working for, and make sure that you build that for you to kind of try to stay away from like making too much contact with them, because you'll be surprised. I learned this from operating uh, property management. You will learn, this is going to be fascinating, right? It is to me. We spend the most time, Ryan, trying to fix that things that don't work, and our attention goes away from things that actually do work in our business. So when you think about me as an operator, right, where do we spend the most time? Reactive, putting out fires. And while we're having like a few, or maybe we have several very well performing teams, we're just like, oh, I'm so happy that those teams are performing so well. I don't have to worry about them. When in reality, we should actually spend most of our time understanding what they're doing right, why are they so successful. Take that model of what they're doing right, those behaviors, and write the playbook. Write the playbook for the business and say, this is my playbook. It's what my people are doing right. Based on that, this is my playbook. And then try to, not try, but like actually make it a point to implement it to the rest of them that have like room for improvement.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I feel like it's a little tougher with when you're dealing with tons of different personalities and people. So like I try to tell them, like, it's pretty straightforward what you have to do to get hired onto a property or to keep your job. You have to show up, you have to know what you're doing, come prepared, communicate with the property. And I mean, I tell everybody that, but some of these guys, they show up and they don't, they tell you, oh yeah, I know what to do. And they get there and they don't do it. But I definitely see, like, yeah, we do focus on that more than we focus on the others. So it would make sense just to kind of like focus on the things that are working way more, and just kind of like, if it's not working, just kind of move on.
Now, when it comes to 2026 goals for you, what are your business goals? Like when you're talking about your entire business, what are like the top things that, the top 3 things that you're trying to accomplish with your business this year?
I just always have one. Really, the main thing is we just want to place people and have more success than not. Like just have a higher percentage of placements. That's always my main goal. I mean, we've been around for over 30 years now, so like we're pretty established, and we've been working with a lot of the same companies for this 30 years. We work with some of the big ones, we work with some small ones, and we've kept them around for that period, for that whole 30 years. So it's really just about just getting better at placing people and I guess identifying through the interviews and the screening process who some of these people are that they say all the right things, but when it comes game time, they don't perform, or they don't show up, so that's my main goal every year, every day, really.
So there are several things to unpack here. I'm going to start with the last one and just kind of like work backwards, if that's okay.
Yeah.
When you're talking about folks that say one thing and do differently, or the opposite of what they're saying, do you have that documented somewhere? Is that anywhere in your playbook in your business that you could like actually quantify or like go back to? Like understand, is it anywhere else besides in your head, from like experience, from just talking to people?
Sorry, I don't know if it's my reception. You said, so do I have documentation of people, like the actual people that do that?
No, well, like this yeah, of the people that are actually not keeping their word. Obviously, I think that's important, right? Because you don't want to try to sell the same person that does not deliver.
Oh yeah, I have like a black book.
Yeah, that's excellent. But now, are you documenting the behavior?
Oh, like the things that I'm identifying? Like, okay, yes. Yeah. I try, and you know what's so crazy about that is like I'll remember one thing. I'll go, I remember this guy. He was sweating a lot. He was stuttering when I was talking to him, and he didn't work out. And then I'll have another guy do the same thing, like sweating profusely, and he's just like so nervous. And I'll go back to that one person, and I'll be like, okay, this guy's probably not going to work out because that I remember a similar situation where the guy was doing the same thing, but then that guy he goes on property and he kills it, you know. So it's like it's tough to judge, but I do try to identify like little things that I notice and just try to, when I'm screening people, I try to kind of like, you know, okay, is this guy doing what he was doing? And so yeah, I try to do that. One of them is like when these guys they get in there and they say, you know, you can always count on me. I'm never going to let you down. I'm the guy that always shows up. Like when I'll say a good 80% of the time, those guys are not that, you know, so that's a pretty high percentage to I can kind of like say, okay, yeah, you're probably not that guy. You're probably going to show up late or not at all, you know?
Yeah. So I like that you're bringing this up. You know, there's a test that I used to do back when I was a service manager and I was, you know, interviewing. I would ask or watch people leaving the place where the interview took place. Try to do it in an area where I could actually watch them walking away or watch them coming in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to capture that, I think a lot like the body language gives out a lot of that. Literally just based on how the person walks, like if they're walking like steady pace, determined, focused, like I'm getting there, I'm gonna get this done. This is kind of like represents who they are when they go out to the site and they execute tasks.
As
Versus
opposed to like slouched and kind of, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah. So I used to do that, and for the most part, it works out. It works out. Like it worked out for me. I was able to pretty much determine just looking at that person walking, hey, this is going to be a very successful person, or maybe not so successful.
Yeah.
One thing that I have a suggestion here for you, right, is as you identify patterns, right, from conversations with various candidates that are dead giveaways for you to say red flag, document them.
Yeah.
Put them in either like put them in writing, or what you could do if you use ChatGPT, and I'm sure the other AI platforms have, is to open projects, to build like a project. Are you familiar with this option?
I mean, I use ChatGPT a lot. I haven't really jumped into that part where I'm actually making projects. I need to get into that because my whole thing is just like flooded with different chats, you know, so I need to definitely get organized with it for sure. And I do need to do that because most of it's in my head, and I need to write it down just so I can have, like you said, just really document it, not just document it in my head. I need to be able to go pull from it.
So here's the advantage, and I'm gonna walk you through the process, right? When you create a project means, you know, it's something that you work on for a period of like limited period of time, or like ongoing. And what you don't want to do is to keep dropping various chats into ChatGPT, because ChatGPT, I've learned, is not great at like going back into what you asked it 3 or 5 days ago.
Oh, I know, yeah.
It's kind of like rethinking the whole thing from scratch.
Right.
And that makes it very hard for you to keep up. Now, if you create various projects, every time that you have like a thought regarding to a red flag, like we're talking about right now, and it could be anything else, you just open the project, and then you could use the speak, right? The speak to you speak to it. Just say, hey, I noticed this other red flag. This person, when I ask them this, they answer that, and this is like the 5th time that I'm seeing for someone that's not working out. Add it to like the red flag list, and you keep building up like that information right there within your project, that particular project. And in time, when you have enough data points and enough feedback from you, it's gonna become incredibly valuable. I bet that if you do that for 3 to 6 months consistently, on a daily basis when you notice something about this or about anything else, you should be able to like go back 3 4 months later and say, now write me like a summary of all of my thoughts that I have, and just what should I learn from this, from the experience. So when you do this, Ryan, you don't have to rely on, on your memory, because believe it or not, even when we're like, I could say that my memory, it's nothing like it was when I was 30 years old. Like it has diminished a lot. And then
Mhm.
I learned, forced by life forced me and humbled me, right? Because I used to be very cocky about like, yeah, no, I'll remember this, and I tried to like base everything on memory, and then it failed me so often. I got embarrassed so many times that I said, okay, well, I probably had to start writing stuff down.
Mhm.
It's not working for me. And then the beauty of it is that you don't have to be the type of person that has uh, a pen or a pencil and a notepad to constantly write stuff down. Now you have, Chat GPT or whatever you use, and the option to like really just speak to it. So you speak this as you go, as you drive, as you go places, and it keeps accumulating, and it becomes a gold mine for you, and you don't have to memorize anything.
Yeah. And
Everything's
I
stored.
also think like maybe even the green light type stuff too. Like, you can use both of it, red flags, and then like, the positive things, and that could really kind of narrow it down.
Yeah. You mentioned one thing. You said that you kind of looked at you've been in a business for a long time. Did you say 30 plus years, like 35 ish?
Yeah, the company has been, yes.
Okay. What would you, when you're thinking about competitors, but not like super hard, when you're thinking about competitors, most of them have they been around for as long as you have been, longer, lesser? Like how do you compare? How do you fare with
Competitors,
the main, yeah, the main other players in your market?
as far as I know, we've been around probably as long as most of our competitors, if not longer. I know there's a ton of new staffing agencies, but we've been around early '90s. So, I I mean, yeah, we're up there with, have being one of the first, especially for multifamily specifically.
You also mentioned that you're looking at the core of property management companies that you do business with, right? So, what do you think is holding you back from first expanding, like doing more business with those existing clients? Secondly, what holds you back from like expanding to newer clients?
It's just getting out there and executing that. I mean, what the every it's kind of, unfortunately, it's not unfortunate, but based on your performance and how many people you get. We have a lot of clients that we'll work with them, and we'll have success, but when let's say you go a few months without having like a successful placement at one of the properties, unfortunately, they're going to go to another agency and see if they try their luck over there. So, I mean, they everybody all, like, we've lost clients, and then they come back. Once they realize that we're all picking from the same pool. The staffing agencies. There's not anybody. I don't think anybody has like a leg up, or they're not using some kind of super technology to find people. Everybody has the same access. So it's just a matter of being having a higher percentage of placements than the competition.
So let's just take an example. Let's just say I'm not even, let's just say Graystar, right? For the sake of argument. And it could be any other name, RPM or
Yeah.
right. Let's just say that, Graystar has been a good client for you for like 3 months, right? And all of a sudden, like the orders stop, where they're like slowing down, the business goes down significantly. Uh, what do you typically do when you see that the business drops?
We'll reach out to some of the regionals, or the managers of the properties, and find out if everything's okay, or what's going. Do you guys need any help? Are you guys fully staffed? Sometimes it does kind of like, yeah, you worry a little bit, and I do wonder, what. Like I said, we reach out to them, but are we bugging them? Is there, it's tough. I don't ever want to. I don't know how to really articulate. I don't want to like come off as pushy or like needy. Hey, why aren't you using us anymore? But I mean, I guess you have to know. You have to find out what's going on. So I don't.
I think right here, Ryan, it's you could ask the question, but I think right here is like how you're asking the question, right? Not like
Yeah,
why aren't you using it? More like saying, hey, we just want to check in. Is this is this a slower time for you? Can we still help? We seem that the demand was not as high as it used to be. Is it something that we have done, or maybe you hire more people and now you have like less need of for temps, which is it's a real situation. And
mhm.
actually, instead, like guessing, you will learn, but without actually saying why aren't you using us? Like
Yeah,
ask a question a different way to say, hey, can we be of help? We're just here to help.
yeah. That's what I've been I've been doing that a lot more lately, and I've been pretty active over the last since I've kind of started working with you, and then I work with Tony as well. And since I've been doing that, I've been a lot more active in reaching out and doing things like that to regionals and finding out just if when business is a little slower, we'll always kind of reach out and see, hey, are you guys fully staffed? We're available for you if you ever need us and that kind of thing.
We have a couple of questions in the chat. I just want to acknowledge for those that are joining us today. Imtiaz Khan, how you doing, sir? Welcome. I'm glad you're joining us. And Maxwell, you have a question here. What makes a great tenant screening solution? Is fraud a big problem in multifamily, or are solutions in place to mitigate? Unfortunately, this is not the topic of our call today. This is a live session with Ryan and I. I want to acknowledge that you asked the question. Feel free to shoot me a DM, and let's take this let's take this on a different direction, like on a personal direct message. But definitely we're not here to address that today, right? This is a coaching call. Hopefully you'll find it useful, and hopefully if you have a question business related that Ryan and I could possibly answer, or feel free to drop it in the comments. So that was that right there. So when it comes to Ryan, when it comes to like going to newer clients, right? What are the top challenges for you, right? Why, like, when you ask yourself the question, why am I not expanding to more clients? Let's just say that I'm working with 30 management companies. Why am I not working with 50 management companies? Because there's enough
Yeah,
management companies in my area.
I think it's just getting in the door, like finding a way to get in there and actually get some face time and be able to present the what we have to offer.
Good. So let me ask you the question now, the follow-up question. How do you typically get in the door with new clients?
Just kind of like a lot of footwork. We go into properties and we deliver these little baskets and kind of tell pitch our not pitch but like just give a little information on our company, and we let people know. But that's the managers on site, and it's hard. Like a lot of times, it's hard to get into the action. We were talking about this on our last call. It's hard to get into some of these offices with people, and then when you do get in, do I don't want to feel like I'm a burden, or I'm coming in. I don't know how to say it, but I just don't want to, like, I'm wasting their time. Like, who the heck is this guy? What's he got to sell? Like things like that. So that's the toughest part, is just actually securing like that actual meeting.
Yeah. So I think there's quite a bit to unpack here. First of all, like the reaction that you get sometimes, right? I would think that if you're just not trying to sell hard, if you just wanted to knock on the door and come come at them in a way that's like positive, like not asking for anything, just literally offering, right? Offering your help, your availability, your services, without being like too salesy, too pushy. Just say, hey, good morning, Mrs. Jones. uh, I'm Ryan with AJ Services here. I just wanted to say hi. Uh, and I wanted to offer my help, right? If you ever have an employee that was recently promoted, if you ever have someone new hired to your property, we'd love to hear from you or from them, because we like to acknowledge that, to give them a shout out. Maybe we could bring like a box of donuts here to celebrate, to welcome them on your behalf.
Mhm.
There's no obligation to you, right? So try to offer something versus saying, we're here to, do you need any temp service, right? Like, just being very transactional about, try to offer, and an offering goes a long way. Maybe that actually just promoted someone, and maybe, corporate didn't do like a, big deal out of that, where like they didn't, they weren't acknowledged as they should have been. And you're the person that just say, I could help with that. I could just go, like, get you guys like a quick breakfast, some sandwiches, or a box, a case of donuts, or just something to say, to celebrate them, and just say, maybe take a picture with them and just say, congratulations, Jimmy, for your new promotions. Have you thought about this approach?
Like personally, like that, like personalized stuff.
Yeah.
Not really. We've talked about it before, and uh, I think it's a great idea to go in there and do that. Like if somebody got a promotion or whatever. But I know we do bring, like, like, well, not a box. I mean, I brought crumble cookie before. I brought some donuts before, and it is a good. It gets you in there, but it's just always. Sometimes I just feel like they're like, they're just like, what the hell are you doing here, type thing, and it's. I don't. But yeah, we I bring stuff. I never go in empty handed. Like I have to have something, or else it's like, what are you doing here? Like I don't have time for you, type thing, So
Well, not everybody's friendly, or maybe not everybody's like connected. When you
yeah,
get that, maybe they have a lot in their mind, and it's not you. You're just the closest person. You're acting like a ground wire that they just use as a ground wire to like release some pressure, or some negative feelings that they have towards, like, stuff that they have going on in their life. And uh, maybe that's part of like how you select the client. Like, if you're running into someone that's repeatedly not pleasant to interact with, maybe you just say, maybe this is not a customer for me, right?
yeah.
um
I've
Now,
gotten better at like being just like rolling with it and kind of just trying to cheer them up a little bit, I guess. So, but it used to kind of like, I don't want to say intimidate, but it turned definitely could darken the room.
yeah, for sure. Let me tell you, being a manager for many years, it took me a while to understand, right? And unfortunately, I say, I wasn't the most pleasant to be around. But then it took me a very long time to understand that when I had negative feelings, emotions, I didn't even have to like voice them. Just through my body language, people that were around me were like, I was radiating that nervousness or like negativeness, and it reflected on them, right?
Mhm.
It really brought them down, right? So I'm like right there with you. A lot of times you just feel it. Now, let's talk about scalability. I think that doing this stuff in person, it's absolutely awesome. And I could say that I'm the first one. I travel all over the country, and I could not tell you that nothing is going to replace the in-person stuff
Mhm.
in our lifetime, right? People will still crave for that personal one-on-one like touch. Okay. So nothing's gonna replace it. So that's great. But then that has very limited scalability. You're only one person, you could only be in one place at one time.
Mhm.
How do you scale that? How could you be in more places than one at once? What do you think?
Probably on online. Just getting yourself out there. Obviously, the internet reaches everybody, so just being online, doing posting, marketing. LinkedIn,
That
Facebook.
that's an incredible way, and I've been leveraging that for years. I should say fairly successful.
Hmm.
And I could attest that this is an incredible way to do it. I like to dig more into like your content. I know that we have done that on previous sessions, but on a future session, I want to dig more into it. I like talk about like content strategy, like
Yeah.
go very very deep on content strategy. Uh, Another thing that comes to mind when it comes to scaling, the scale, right? You said that you're trying to get in a door, right? And are you doing anything automatically? Like, for example, when you reach out to customers, do you use a CRM, and then do you have like a way to like where your emails are automated?
No, I kind of like I'll send email. I don't have something that just automatically goes out to, but I kind of personally I'll look somebody up, or I have emails that we have tons of regionals in our like an email database thing, and we just kind of send them out every once in a while. I'll pick like 3 or 4 and just send them a personalized email.
Yeah. So here's something here. I want to tell you about personal experience from this week. Today is only Wednesday. So I got up on Monday morning. I said, it's a new week, a new month, a new year. I have what you see right here, Ryan. These are all business cards.
Yes. I
And,
got
and I have more, my friend. So I took a list that I created, right? So every time I send a proposal, I add the person name and their contact information and job, anyway, some personal information. I add into a spreadsheet. And then over the 2 years, a little over 2 years that I've been in business, I probably have like 200 to 300 contacts that I've been like adding to this list. So a simple thing as an Excel spreadsheet. So what I did on Monday, first thing in the morning when I got up, I said, I'm gonna do some outreach. And some of them were people that I have a conversation or like an email exchange with them 2 years ago. And I started sending emails. By Tuesday evening, I got booked for like weeks in advance. I'm talking about with people that responded, wanted to meet, wanted to have a conversation. And this is just on me doing an exercise at a very small scale, and everything is manual, right? So here's where I'm trying to get. What if you had all that information like into a CRM, and
yeah.
you had this like set up to where the CRM automatically sends messages, emails out to your email list every so often. Imagine how awesome would be, because that.
Yeah, I need to definitely.
And I'm telling you, I speak like I'm as guilty as you are, but this is like number one priority for me. Like, and it's like a very easy setup. It's just me picking up the CRM. I'm gonna take my contact list that I built, drop it into the CRM, and you could create automated campaigns for everything. So that, my friend, I suggest you put it on your priority list, make it a priority for this year, because it supplements your in-person efforts and also your social media too. It's like another very important pillar. Um, have you considered doing a newsletter?
No, I'm not even gonna lie. I've not considered that.
Okay.
I
Something
think
some
it'd be great though to send something out like once a month type thing.
Yeah, some food for thought. There's information out there saying that for each like dollar that you spend, no, for each contact email address that you have, uh, you could get probably $30 to $40 worth of business. So imagine if you have an email list of 1,000 people, this could mean like 30 to 40,000 a month in income for you, just from one newsletter. Of course, like not every newsletter is like that. You just kind of like set it up and it's gonna bring you, $40,000 a month. It doesn't work. Like there's a process. You had to do it the right way. You had to build a newsletter to where people are actually interested in a content that you're putting on a newsletter, so they could actually open it and read it. So it's a
Yeah,
long process, but it's one that supposed to be very, very efficient, like very yeah.
I was just going to ask how do I even go about something like that? Where's that? Where do you put that out at?
Let's set that up for our next call, and
Okay.
if you're okay with it, we could do that one live too.
Hey, let's go, man. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
We could we could basically set it up, and actually, you know what, we could do it together live, because
Okay.
I have an option here for to present or invite, and we could actually do we could put up I could get prepped a little bit to have some things ahead of time.
Okay.
And yeah, let's talk about a newsletter and increasing this. How did you find today's session?
I think it was cool. I just kind of feel like any other session, and yeah, it was just a little. I kept like looking up in the corner at the live, just that kind of sometimes it distracts a little bit, and that was another thing is like distraction when I'm in public doing stuff, like little things will distract me, and sometimes I'll get away from what the person's actually saying, which it makes it harder to answer questions sometimes. So I gotta get better, like not dealing with the distractions.
Do you feel less nervous that you felt when we started the conversation?
Yeah, about halfway in, I was like, okay, this is just normal. Maybe even a little earlier than halfway in, but yeah.
Well, next time it's gonna be like 25% in, and the next time 10% and 5%.
Yeah,
It just go lower and lower, right? It's gonna
just
come. That comfort feeling is gonna come in earlier every time you do it. I promise you that. Listen, brother, this was great. I really enjoy it. I will ask you after we end the live stream not to like click on this, like close the window. Everyone, for those of you that watched us today, thank you very much. If there's anything else that you would like for us probably to touch in like 2 or 5 week time with Ryan and I when it comes to business coaching, send me a message, and then we'll look at it and possibly bring it up into the conversation. Thank you all for watching. Have an amazing afternoon.